now feels like the most appropriate time to give you our conference title predictions 2.0, our college football playoff predictions 2.0. I want to go conference title matchups for each of the Power Four conferences, and then from there, we'll unpack the college football playoff bracket, and we'll tell you who we think is going to win the national championship. So we'll start with the Big Ten. The Big Ten's been phenomenal this year. If I'm the Big Ten, and I am waiting to take another victory lap for us winning a third national title in a row, you got a lot of suspects, man. A lot of teams that could do it for you. Oregon just lost to Indiana, but, Oregon, they look very wagonish outside of that one spot. Ohio State's been a freaking runaway train. Indiana, Google Kurt Cignetti. You'll see that he wins. He has won again this year. Spanked Illinois. Beat Oregon at their place. And then Nebraska's kind of frisky. USC beating Michigan. Who knows what Michigan's going to be down the stretch here. If they beat Washington, it gets interesting. USC, I just told you, I don't think there's a game on their schedule that I just chalk up to a loss. But after all the dust settles, I think this is fairly cut and dry. I think you have Ohio State playing Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. Now, I do think, just for the record, could be a little slippery slope there for the old Hoosiers. I think they do somehow, some way drop one game before getting to this game. But the fact that they beat Oregon at Oregon is a massive tiebreaker for them in the conversation for this college football playoff discussion, and ultimately, to stick to what we're talking about right now, the Big Ten title discussion. So I think Ohio State and Indiana play, and wouldn't that be awesome? You get Indiana essentially with a home game. This is played in Lucas Oil, right? It's in Indianapolis. Hoosier Nation, they've been basketball fans probably for as long as they can remember. Guess what? Now you're a football fan, or you get to be an outward football. You have something to root for. Kurt Cignetti and company. With Indiana playing in this game, that is phenomenal. They will be in the college football playoff. But Ohio State, we said it during our reaction to their Illinois win. I want to say it again. They're just ramping up, man. Like, they're not even lifting their heaviest weight just yet. I look at Ohio State. They're doing whatever your max is for reps if you're an average college football team across the country. That rolled Illinois didn't even play their best football. The way that they've looked to this point in the year, I think, is nothing less than scary if I'm anyone across the country, much less the Big Ten. And I think that what they are offensively is going to continue to evolve. And they get the permission to evolve because that defense is holding it down. So in this game, the Big Ten title game, that is, I think that you could see Indiana be a little bit feisty, but I think Ohio State, that talent, that defense, and Julian saying at that point, I'm not calling him a first-year starting quarterback anymore. He's past that 12-game threshold. Ohio State beats Indiana. They are your Big Ten champions. So let's move on to the SEC. And the SEC is going to get very bloodbathy these next couple of weeks. Believe it is going to be the Squid Games, if you will, across the board here. I think you get Alabama versus A&M in Atlanta. Now, a lot of the Georgia folks are saying, JD, you don't have Georgia in the SEC championship game? I don't feel good about it either, to be real with y'all. I don't, but Georgia has flown a little bit too close to the sun a couple of different moments for me to feel like they're going to just be unscathed the rest of the way. For A&M, I don't think that they have that many difficult tests when it comes to like teams that could actually beat them. I think there's two games I'm looking at really closely. At LSU, at Missouri. I think they split those. So if you're telling me that A&M will finish the season with one conference loss, I think that's good enough to get them to the conference title game. Then Alabama, quite frankly, I don't see them losing another game, y'all. I already picked them to beat Tennessee. The way that Ty Simpson's operating, the way that they are continuing to, it feels like, get better each week, the high character win they had against Missouri told me a lot about them. I think Alabama plays A&M for the SEC championship. And again, I think Alabama is just, they're a wagon right now, man. They can win a lot of different ways. They are deep at the receiver position. I think they're going to get better running the football as the year progresses. Defense is opportunistic. I love A&M. I think they're extremely complete, but I think in the SEC title game, I think Alabama gets the best of them, and Kalen DeBoer gets his conference championship for the first time in the SEC. He got one in the Pac-12, though, if you remember correctly. So Alabama wins the SEC and locks themselves into a college football playoff spot along with Ohio State. Now the ACC. ACC could also be madness, man, but I think it's Miami. I think it's Georgia Tech. I think that Georgia Tech shows up there not unscathed. I think they drop one somewhere along the way. Another team I considered putting in this game was Virginia. Virginia, they won their last two games in overtime fashion. I'm here for you winning overtime. I'm all the way here for that. But honestly, if that's going to be how you win games here at this point in the year, I don't have a ton of confidence that you don't have a couple of stumbles heading into this game. So Virginia, I think they missed this one, but I do think Georgia Tech shows up with one loss in ACC play, and they play Miami, and Miami is just, I think, at a different level than anyone else in the ACC right now. And it would take something very much so unforeseen for me to feel like Miami doesn't play in this game. It takes something very unforeseen for me to think that Miami can't win this game. I think Miami is too good on the line of scrimmage, especially relative to the rest of the ACC, to not play in this game, not win this game. Miami, pretty cut and dry for me here. I think they're your ACC champ, and I think Georgia Tech now will be heard from when it comes to the rest of the postseason. More on that a little bit later. In the Big 12, it's Texas Tech and everyone else for me. Truly, I think Texas Tech is not just good for the Big 12, as I've said many times on this show. They're good for anyone in college football. They are the number one team in the country when it comes to stopping the run. They got two quarterbacks. Doesn't matter who's healthy for them or who's ready to roll. Will Hammond and Baron Morton can both spin it. They got weapons. Texas Tech is good for anyone in college football, not just the Big 12 conference. However, you don't just get handed the conference championship, last I checked. So who do they play? To me, there is so much unpredictability in the sport to begin with, but that is just accentuated in the Big 12 conference. So much to me, when predicting the Big 12 with who's going to play Texas Tech, it comes down to, okay, which quarterback do I like the best and which path do I like the best? And to me, the best combo of those that I think will play Texas Tech for all the marbles in Jerry World is Cincinnati. Who would have thought that the Fighting Scott Satterfields showing up in Jerry World, man? A lot of their games left on their schedule, a lot of the tricky games left on their schedule, are actually at home. They get Baylor at the crib. They get Arizona at the crib. They get BYU at the crib. All games I suppose they could lose, but I feel pretty good about Cincy in all those spots. I don't think it's a situation where they show up there with 0 losses in conference play, but if you're telling me they have those games at home, and then they got to go to Utah and to TCU, and Oklahoma State's on there too, I understand that. But I think that the way that Sorsby's playing right now, dude, he can hurt you with his legs. He's been good through the air. The versatility they have offensively, plus the momentum, plus their schedule in November, I'll take Cincy to show up in this game and play Texas Tech. Now, do they beat Texas Tech? No, Texas Tech is on a different level. And so for that reason, I'll take Texas Tech. And the roster talent plus the versatility they have, plus the line of scrimmage play they have, I think the Big 12 is won by Texas Tech and has all of us in the world of college football this offseason rethinking the impact of the transfer portal and your ability to overhaul your entire roster and do it at a high level, a conference title level. And Texas Tech is the poster child for that. They punched their ticket to the college football playoff. So to recap here, my conference champions, Ohio State over Indiana, Alabama over A&M, Miami over Georgia Tech, and Texas Tech over the Cincinnati Bearcats.